A single swing of a whiskey bottle turned the grey morning on the Clyde into headline gold. Shards of glass scattered across HMS Glasgow's new paintwork, and Princess Katherine's composed smile told seasoned observers everything they needed to know. Her return to frontline royal duty would be as decisive as it was symbolic. She had spent months out of sight while the palace managed whispers about an unspecified cancer diagnosis. Now she stood at the bow of Britain's first Type 26 frigate, flawless in a navy and white coat dress that mirrored Scotland's saltire, ready to christen the vessel that will guard NATO sea lanes for decades. Yet the ceremony's true cargo was stealthier than torpedoes or sonar. It carried a message that the next reign is already taking shape far from Buckingham Palace's gilded walls. The previous day, Prince William had travelled alone and unannounced to Leith's backstreets, swapping Admiralty briefings for concrete pitches where the Leith United Coalition trains former rough sleepers to coach vulnerable teenagers. No camera crews were tipped off. Those who happened to glimpse him saw a future king in an untucked shirt, taking passes, slipping on damp turf, laughing when he missed a sitter. But the informal facade hid a forensic purpose. Inside the centre's cluttered office he pored over relapse graphs, funding forecasts and employment statistics, asking how many participants had moved from hostel to flat, how many had returned to classrooms, which mental health partners still needed clinic space. Staff later said the prince's notebook was already half-filled before he reached the door. That contrast, steel decks in Glasgow, shabby astroturf in Leith, captures the Wales's emerging doctrine. They honour pageantry because heritage demands it, then pivot to spreadsheets because survival now depends on measurable impact. It is a doctrine forged in private, during evenings when Catherine reviewed early years pilot data while William mapped football-based interventions across deprived wards from Newcastle to Newport. Both know polls are unforgiving. Barely half the kingdom under 40 wants a monarchy at all, but 2/3 of that same cohort still trusts William and Catherine personally. Their strategy is to convert personal goodwill into institutional credibility before the public mood hardens further. Katherine's role as sponsor of HMS Glasgow dates back to June 2021, when she agreed to stand godmother to the ship throughout its life cycle. The custom originated in Tudor dockyards when women of local influence blessed hulls with ale. By the Georgian-era sponsors turned to Madeira, and by Queen Victoria's reign champagne became obligatory. Scots break whiskey instead, an amendment first recorded at the launch of the battleship HMS Collingwood in 1908. Katherine's swing followed that thread of continuity, yet the real drama arrived afterwards, as she and William stepped into the crowd lining the quay. A teenager's voice pierced the cheering. "You're beautiful, Catherine." Gasps, laughter, then an almost comic scramble for fairness as the same voice yelled, "You too, William." The prince's reply, "You don't have to say that," landed with the timing of a seasoned stand-up, and social media did the rest. Within an hour #don't have to say that trended on X, clocking 5 million views. Overnight, it doubled the reach of the Ministry of Defence's official launch video. Moments like these drive palace communicators frantic, because spontaneity is impossible to script yet priceless when it works. They also reinforce the couple's central claim, that authenticity, not mystique, will secure the crown's relevance. William strengthened that claim a minute later by placing a light hand on Katherine's arm, as if anchoring them both amid the swirl of applause, small, human, instantly mimetic. Behind the smiles, larger currents move. King Charles, who resumed limited duties in April after aggressive cancer treatment, is said to review doctors' reports each Friday before approving the next week's schedule. Though the palace remains silent on prognosis, courtiers whisper of contingency plans locked in Sandringham's Strong Room B, detailing phased transfers of authority should further treatment sideline the monarch. At the heart of those drafts is a concept informally called operational regency. Charles would remain sovereign in name, while William executes the daily brief, an echo of George III's final years but adapted for a 24-hour news cycle. For that handover to succeed, the heir must already command public confidence and a clear policy compass, hence the relentless groundwork in places like Leith. Katherine's parallel mission focuses on the earliest months of life. Her early years program, launched in 2019 after a decade of behind-the-scenes study, now partners with 120 local authorities. It funds perinatal mental health training, speech and language drop-ins, and neighborhood hubs where exhausted parents swap childcare tips over free coffee. The latest independent audit credited the scheme with a 19% rise in early developmental screening across pilot districts, dry figures that translate into toddlers catching speech delays before school, and parents catching breath before burnout. The couple's shared platform, community cohesion through sport and childhood support, feeds a broader narrative, the monarchy as national social investor. Their Royal Foundation's Community Impact Program funnels corporate donations into hyperlocal projects, then demands quarterly SROI metrics. If a boxing gym reduces youth reoffending by double digits, the foundation scales the model to a second city. If a pilot stumbles, funding is rerouted without ceremony. Privately, William calls this venture philanthropy with velvet gloves. Publicly, he cites his RAF search and rescue days. You don't hover, you hoist. Not everyone applauds. Traditionalists mutter that publishing impact dashboards cheapens royal mystique, while some civil service veterans resent Prince's outperforming government initiatives in media coverage. Yet polls suggest the gamble is landing. A mid-May YouGov tracker found William trusted to understand ordinary people's concerns by 62% of respondents, eclipsing every cabinet minister. Catherine scored 59%, a 5-point jump since her cancer announcement. Even Republicans grudgingly note the couple's work ethic. Still, thunderclouds gather beyond the Clyde. Prince Harry's memoir-fueled estrangement remains raw, letters reportedly sent from Montecito after Charles's diagnosis received cordial but brief replies. Nor has talk of stripping the Sussexes' Her Royal Highness styles abated. At Balmoral last month, senior courtiers debated whether future royal status should hinge on a points-based system. A minimum number of official engagements, philanthropic benchmarks, audited patronage outcomes. Such reform would be seismic, requiring Privy Council approval and potentially an Act of Parliament. But its mere consideration shows how urgently the Crown seeks clarity. Then there is Queen Camilla's ascendancy. Next month in Ottawa she will be sworn into the Canadian Privy Council, the first consort so honoured, solidifying a role many Canadians once resisted. William respects her loyalty to his father yet feels the weight of contrasting legacies, Diana's global memory and Camilla's hard-won acceptance. Balancing those narratives will demand finesse. Already, palace planners choreograph engagements to avoid overshadowing either woman. Meanwhile, HMS Glasgow begins harbour trials, her Rolls-Royce gas turbines roaring below decks. By 2027 she will patrol Atlantic choke points, protecting carriers and submarines alike. Katherine's name will adorn her crest, and sailors will toast that name each Trafalgar night. Leith United will expand to 5 more wards, its coaches doubling, its fresh-painted locker room bearing a discreet plaque, funded by the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. So the bottle's crash marked not an end but an overture. Every shard a promise, of transparency in palace finances, of children heard before they fall silent, of communities stitched together by sport and service. William and Catherine, no skeptics still question monarchy's place in a skeptical age. Their answer is simple: show the math, then show up. Next week our cameras follow them south to Cornwall, where a disused tin mine village is being reborn as a green tech hub under their patronage. Early briefing notes hint at another unscripted reveal, this time involving autonomous drones and a very surprised farmer. Stay with us as the Crown's quiet revolution continues, one handshake, one statistic, and yes, one splintered bottle at a time.